Sarah Chen loved watching Mars' twin moons from the school shuttle's window. At 12 years old, she found space travel boring, like most kids born on Mars. But Phobos and Deimos always caught her eye. The shuttle hummed quietly as it carried her and 15 other students home through the protected airspace of New Boston Colony. "Hey Sarah, want to see my new game?" Tommy Watson waved his tablet from the seat across the aisle. Sarah smiled and shook her head, turning back to the window. That's when she saw it, a shimmer in the orange Martian sky that shouldn't be there. The shuttle's AI noticed it too. "Attention passengers, unexpected traffic detected. Initiating safety protocols." The calm voice barely finished speaking when a massive ship appeared, its stealth systems deactivating. The vessel's sleek purple hull bore the unmistakable markings of the Galactic Council. Sarah had seen council ships before. Everyone had. They regularly visited Earth and Mars for diplomatic meetings, but something felt wrong. Council ships never entered colony airspace without announcement, and they certainly never approached civilian vehicles. The shuttle's pilot, Mrs. Rodriguez, grabbed the emergency controls. "Control, this is Route 7 shuttle. We have an unauthorized council vessel in restricted airspace, requesting immediate." A bright blue beam cut through the shuttle's hull like paper. Warning alarms blared as the cabin lost pressure, but the shuttle's emergency fields activated instantly, protecting the children from vacuum. Sarah felt strange, tingly. The blue light was everywhere now. Tommy screamed. Sarah tried to scream too, but her body wouldn't move. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was Mrs. Rodriguez desperately trying to reach her, terror in the pilot's eyes. Hours later, Admiral Helena Martinez stood in the colony's emergency command center, watching the security footage for the 100th time. The council ship's attack played out on the massive screen. The boarding beam, the targeted extraction of Sarah Chen, the ship vanishing back into stealth. 15 children and 1 pilot left traumatized, 1 child taken. They broke 17 different treaties, Colonel James Chen said quietly. Sarah's father stood rigid in his dress uniform, Earth's flag patch bright on his shoulder. As humanity's representative to the council, he should have been on Earth, attending another pointless diplomatic session. Instead, he watched his daughter's kidnapping on repeat. 19 treaties, Martins corrected, her voice hard. "We just found their flight path. They crossed through 3 other restricted zones getting here. They knew exactly where she'd be, James. This was planned." Chen's hands tightened into fists. "The council thinks we're young, weak. They look at our 300 years of interstellar civilization and see children playing with toys. They've ruled the galaxy for millennia. And in all those thousands of years, they never learned the most important lesson about humanity." Martins brought up another screen, showing hundreds of ships lighting up across the solar system. Ships that officially didn't exist. Ships that the council knew nothing about. "What lesson is that?" Chen asked, though his grim smile suggested he already knew. "That we were never weak. We were patient, and they just ran out of our patience." Martins pressed a button, sending encrypted orders throughout human space. "They took a child, James. Not a diplomat, not a soldier. A 12-year-old girl whose only crime was being human. They didn't take her because she's human." Chen's voice cracked slightly. "They took her because she's my daughter. They wanted to send a message." "Oh, they sent a message all right." Martinez's eyes blazed. "And now humanity is going to send one back, one they'll never forget." Across Mars, Earth, and a dozen colonies, humanity's hidden fleets began to move. The council had ruled through fear for thousands of years. They were about to learn what real fear. Admiral Martinez couldn't sleep. 3 days had passed since Sarah Chen's abduction, and still no word from the council. They denied all knowledge, of course, called it a regrettable misunderstanding that would be thoroughly investigated. Empty words from empty souls. Her computer chimed, a message with no sender, tagged with the highest encryption she'd seen in 20 years of service. Martinez's fingers flew across the keyboard, military-grade decryption programs straining against alien security. The message contained a single video file and text in broken English. "We help. We not like council crimes. Watch." Martinez hesitated only a second before pressing play. The video showed a sterile white room, medical equipment everywhere. And there, strapped to a table, was Sarah Chen. Subject demonstrates remarkable pain tolerance, a tall, blue-skinned council scientist said into a recorder. Even compared to adult human specimens, the child's resilience is noteworthy. Increased stimulus level by 20%. Sarah screamed. Martinez felt her teeth crack as her jaw clenched. The girl's back arched against the restraints as some kind of energy field pulsed around her. Tears streamed down Sarah's face, but she didn't beg, didn't plead, just screamed. Fascinating. The scientist continued. Subject maintains consciousness despite stimulus levels that would incapacitate most species. The human pain threshold appears to increase under sustained testing. Most unusual. Increase by another 20%. Martinez slammed her fist into the emergency alert button before the next scream could start. Within minutes, her office filled with Earth's highest-ranking military leaders. She played them the video without a word. General Wong threw up in her trash can. Admiral Patel's coffee cup shattered in his grip. And Colonel Chen. Sarah's father stood perfectly still, watching his daughter suffer with eyes that promised violence beyond measure. "We received this from what appears to be a sympathetic species within council space," Martinez explained, her voice professionally calm while her heart screamed for blood. "The transmission signature matches a research facility in the Rigel system. Cross-reference with our intelligence suggests it's one of dozens of similar facilities." Dozens. Chen's question came out as barely more than a whisper. "According to our source, the Council has been conducting these experiments on multiple species, trying to understand why some races advance faster than others, why humanity went from first flight to interstellar travel in less than 2 centuries. Martinez brought up a star map showing suspected facility locations. "They're scared of us, James. Scared enough to torture children to understand what makes us different." The video continued playing silently in the background. Sarah's mouth opened in another silent scream as the scientists calmly took notes. "Transmit this to every human settlement, ship and colony," Chen ordered. "Let everyone see what the Council really is. Let them see what they did to a child in the name of their precious research." "James," General Wong wiped her mouth, looking pale. "The panic won't be panic." Chen's voice had changed, becoming something hard and cold and terrible. "It will be purpose. Humanity has played nice, followed their rules, pretended to be the grateful young species learning from our betters. That ends today." Martinez nodded and sent the video. Within hours, it spread across human space like a virus. Parents held their children closer. Soldiers cleaned their weapons. Factory workers began converting assembly lines to military production with quiet efficiency. The Council had ruled the galaxy through fear for thousands of years, but they had never seen fear like this, the quiet, cold rage of an entire species realizing that the monsters weren't hiding under the bed. They were sitting in council chambers, wearing diplomatic robes, and torturing children. Humanity had tried peace. Now they would try. The Grand Council chamber on Centauri Prime was supposed to be a place of wisdom and power. 200 alien species gathered here to govern the galaxy, their representatives seated in rising circles like an ancient theater. The chamber's dark purple walls reached up forever, designed to make everyone feel small before the Council's authority. James Chen felt nothing but contempt as he walked to the speaker's podium. He hadn't slept in 4 days. His dress uniform, normally perfect, hung slightly loose. He hadn't eaten much either. But his eyes burned with a fire that made several council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice steady. "For 3 centuries, humanity has been the humble student. We've accepted your guidance, followed your rules, pretended not to notice your thinly veiled contempt. The chamber's grand speaker, a tall being with crystalline skin, raised his hand. Representative Chen, if this is about the unfortunate incident, play the video, Chen commanded. Every screen in the chamber lit up with footage of Sarah's torture. The sound of her screams filled the ancient hall. This is outrageous, the grand speaker shouted. Security, shut down those. Watch. Chen's roar echoed through the chamber. Watch what you did to my daughter. Watch what your scientists did to a child in the name of research. Some council members turned away. Others watched in horrified silence. A few, Chen noted carefully, showed no reaction at all. He remembered their faces. We know about the other facilities, Chen continued as Sarah screamed in the background. We know about the other species you've tortured. Did you think we wouldn't find out? Did you think humanity's patience was weakness? These allegations are serious, a reptilian council member said smoothly. We will need time to investigate. Chen laughed. The sound made several representatives flinch. Time. You want more time. Let me tell you what humanity has done with our time. He pressed another button. New images replaced the torture footage. Massive shipyards hidden in asteroid belts, weapons that broke half a dozen council laws, AI research that went far beyond permitted limits. While you watched us build the ships you approved, we built others. While you monitored the weapons you allowed, we developed more. Every time you gave us a law, a restriction, a barrier to our growth, we smiled and nodded. And then we went home and broke it. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Chen's voice cut through them like a blade. You mistake civilization for weakness. You mistake patience for submission. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. And you took my daughter. He looked each council member in the eye, one by one. Some met his gaze. Most looked away. You have 24 hours, Chen said quietly, but every word carried to every corner of the chamber. Return my daughter. Surrender everyone involved in her torture, or humanity will show you why the galaxy's older species once feared to visit Earth. You dare threaten the council. The Grand Speaker's crystalline face flushed deep purple. We have ruled for thousands of years. Our fleets enforce peace across 20,000 worlds. Chen turned to leave, then paused. Peace? No, you enforce fear. And now you're going to learn what real fear feels like. He walked out of the chamber, ignoring the chaos behind him. His communicator buzzed. Admiral Martinez reporting that the human fleet was in position, waiting for the council's choice. They had 24 hours to save themselves. Chen hoped they were stupid enough to refuse. Humanity had been patient long enough. The time for patience. 23 hours and 59 minutes after Chen's ultimatum, the Grand Speaker of the Council made his decision. He sent a one-word response to Earth. No. Admiral Martinez smiled when she saw the message. She'd hoped they would be this stupid. All ships, this is command. She broadcast across the human fleet. The Council has made their choice. Execute Operation Burning Dawn. Rules of engagement are as follows. Minimal civilian casualties. Maximum damage to military and government targets. Show them what humanity can really do. Across Council space, stealth fields dropped. Thousands of human ships appeared where none should have been. Ships that broke every Council law about size, weapons, and AI integration. Ships that had been waiting for years, hiding in plain sight. The Council's first warning came from New Arcturus, their most heavily defended military base. The warning wasn't about an approaching fleet. It was about the human ships already in orbit. Impossible. The base commander shouted as human vessels appeared inside his defense grid. Their technology can't. His words cut off as precision strikes destroyed every military installation on the planet's surface. No civilian casualties. No collateral damage. Just surgical destruction of everything that made the Council strong. On Earth, Martinez watched the reports flood in. Council ships found themselves fighting opponents who knew their every move before they made it. Human AIs, unrestricted by Council limitations, tore through their computer defenses like paper. Weapons the Council had banned centuries ago turned their mighty warships into drifting wreckage. "Admiral," her tactical officer called out. First wave complete. 37 Council military bases destroyed. 0 civilian casualties. Council fleet effectiveness reduced by 60%. Martinez nodded. And their response? They're sending everything they have against Earth, sir. 5,000 ships. The largest fleet ever assembled. Perfect. Martinez opened a channel to her hidden fleet near Jupiter. Operation Glasshammer is go. Show them why we built those ships. The Council fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near Earth's orbit, ready to punish humanity's homeworld. Instead, they found 2,000 human warships waiting. Ships that shouldn't exist. Ships that had been built in secret, deep in the gas giant's storms where Council sensors couldn't reach. Council vessels, Martinez broadcast on all frequencies. Your civilization mistakes patience for weakness. Your leaders mistake technological superiority for victory. Let us show you your mistake. The battle lasted 12 minutes. Council ships, designed for fighting slower, less advanced opponents, found themselves against an enemy that had spent centuries preparing specifically to defeat them. Human vessels moved in ways that broke the laws of physics, or at least, the laws of physics as the Council understood them. When it was over, the greatest fleet in Council history was nothing but debris floating in Earth's orbit. Not a single human ship had been lost. Status report, Martinez commanded, her voice still calm despite the historic victory they'd just achieved. Council military capability reduced by 85%. Their government is in chaos. 312 Council worlds have already declared independence. And, sir, we're getting a message from their research division. Martinez's eyes narrowed. The ones who had Sarah. Yes, sir. They're begging for mercy. Martinez thought of Sarah Chen, strapped to that table. Thought of the cold voices taking notes while she screamed. Tell them mercy has to be earned. She opened a channel to Colonel Chen. James, we found them. The facility where they're holding Sarah. Are you ready? Chen's response was cold and clear. Time to bring our daughter home. The Council had ruled through fear for thousands of years. Now they were learning what real fear felt like. The fear of facing an enemy who had spent centuries preparing for this exact moment. And humanity was just... Captain Maya Patil and her Special Forces team moved through the Council research facility like ghosts. Their powered armor, hidden from humanity's mentors for decades, made no sound as they cleared corridor after corridor. Contact. The team's eye whispered in their heads. 3 guards ahead, 2 scientists in the next lab, and life signs from 23 test subjects. Different species, all showing signs of extreme stress. Patil's jaw tightened. Remember the mission parameters: minimal force against security, extreme prejudice against anyone in a lab coat. And get those test subjects out alive. The guards never saw them coming. Stun fields, another technology humanity had pretended not to have, dropped all 3 without a sound. The scientists in the lab looked up just in time to see 6 armored humans emerge from thin air. Please, one scientist raised his hands. We were just following orders. Like you did with Sarah Chen. Patil's voice was ice. Both scientists dropped unconscious as her neural disruptor fired. Team 2, move to secure the test subjects. Team 3, download everything from their computers. Leave no data behind. In his command ship above the facility, Colonel Chen watched through the team's helmet cameras. His hands gripped the armrests so hard the metal creaked. Second floor clear, Patil reported, moving to the high security wing. Sir, we're picking up Sarah's transponder. She's alive. Chen closed his eyes for a moment. Get her out, Captain. The high security wing had better defenses, automated turrets, energy shields, The leak guards. They lasted 30 seconds against humans fighting to save a child. Door sealed. Patel's AI reported. High-density alloy. Council military grade. Patel smiled behind her helmet. Show them what human military grade looks like. The door didn't just open. It dissolved. The metal turned to dust by nanites that the Council had nightmares about humanity developing. Beyond it lay a circular chamber with cells lining the walls. And in the center, strapped to that same table from the video, was Sarah Chen. A blue-skinned scientist stood over her, holding a neural probe. Stay back. This subject is crucial to our research. We must understand how humans. The scientist's shield generator failed at the exact moment Patel's fist connected with his face. Council medical technology could probably fix his jaw, eventually. Sarah. Patel knelt by the table, her armor dissolving around her face so the girl could see her. I'm Captain Patel. Your dad sent us. We're taking you home. Sarah's eyes were unfocused from drugs, but she managed a small smile. Knew you'd come. Told them. Humans don't leave people behind. As her team secured the other prisoners, beings from a dozen different species, all victims of the Council's research, Patel lifted Sarah gently in her arms. Command. Primary package secured. All secondary objectives accomplished. Permission to extract. Granted. Chen's voice shook slightly. Bring her home, Captain. They emerged from the facility in formation, Sarah cradled in Patel's arms, former prisoners supported by other team members. Council security cameras, still functioning because humanity wanted this recorded, showed the perfect precision of the operation. No alarms, no civilian casualties, just the quiet elimination of everyone who had participated in torturing innocent beings. The Council would watch this footage later, seeing how human soldiers helped injured aliens into medical pods, how they took time to comfort confused prisoners, how they eliminated armed resistance with casual ease. They would understand, finally, that humanity had never been weak. They had just been waiting for the right moment to show their strength. And now, carrying Sarah Chen to safety while Council research data revealed centuries of crimes, that moment. The Grand Speaker of the Council watched his civilization burn. Not in the primitive way he'd feared when humans first revealed their true strength. There were no worlds cracking apart, no massive orbital bombardments, no wholesale slaughter. What humanity did was much worse. They were being precise. Another report. Sir, his aide's voice shook. The humans. They just took out every military installation on Proxima II. No civilian casualties. They somehow evacuated the civilian areas first, then eliminated our facilities with surgical strikes. The Grand Speaker watched the tactical display as another red dot vanished. Another Council stronghold erased from existence. How many worlds have we lost? Direct control. Over 200. But that's not the worst part. The aide's crystalline skin had gone cloudy with stress. The subject species, they're all watching how the humans fight. Of course they were. The humans had made sure of that, broadcasting their attacks across every channel, showing the galaxy how they rescued prisoners from research facilities, how they disabled warships without killing their crews, how they destroyed the Council's power while preserving innocent lives. They weren't just winning. They were showing everyone that the Council had been lying about its strength for thousands of years. On Earth, Admiral Martinez reviewed the latest battle reports. Status update. Council military effectiveness at 12% and falling. Her eye responded. Their subject species are revolting on 47 worlds, and we just got another transmission from their leadership. Martinez didn't look up from her displays. Let me guess. Another threat about their superior technology and centuries of dominance. No, sir. They're offering to surrender. Now Martinez looked up. Full surrender, or are they trying to negotiate? Full surrender, with one condition. They want to keep their civilian government intact. Martinez thought about Sarah Chen, recovering in a medical bay with her father by her side. thought about the other victims they'd rescued, some of whom had been in those facilities for years. Tell them that's not our decision to make anymore. The species they've dominated, experimented on, and tortured get to decide their fate now. Across Council space, Liberation fleets struck with mechanical precision. Human ships appeared in orbit around Council worlds, but instead of attacking, they broadcast proof of the Council's crimes. Decades of torture masked as research, centuries of deliberate suppression of technological advancement, thousands of years of ruling through carefully manipulated fear. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons, it was fought with truth. Sir, Martinez's aide interrupted her thoughts. Colonel Chen is asking permission to lead the strike on the Council's Central Research Division. Martinez remembered the look in Chen's eyes when they'd found Sarah. Granted, tell him to remember the rules of engagement, which are, make them live with what they've done. The Council's Central Research Division had the best defenses in the galaxy. They lasted 6 minutes against human ships. But when the weapons fell silent, the facilities still stood. Instead of destroying them, humanity converted them into museums. Every experiment, every torture, every crime preserved and displayed. The Council would not be allowed to hide from its history anymore. Final status report. Martinez commanded as the last Council fleet surrendered. All military targets neutralized. Civilian casualties below 0.1%. Former subject species establishing provisional governments on 82 worlds. And sir, we're getting a message from the Galactic Assembly. The what? The former subject species. They've organized already. They're asking for humanity's help in establishing a new government. A real one this way. Martinez smiled. The Council had ruled through fear for thousands of years. Humanity had ended that rule in less than a week. Not through superior firepower, but through the one thing the Council never understood. The strength to be better. 10 years after the Council fell, Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Assembly. The Great Hall looked nothing like the old Council chamber. Instead of rising seats designed to make everyone feel small, delegates sat in a circle as equals. Light streamed in through crystal windows, and children from a dozen species watched from the public galleries. Sarah, now 22, touched the small scar on her wrist, the only visible reminder of what had happened in that research facility. She kept it, refusing regenerative treatment, to remind herself and others of why the assembly existed. Representatives of the free galaxy, she began, her voice clear and strong. 10 years ago, humanity showed that strength isn't about dominance. It's about choice. The choice to be better than those who wrong us. The choice to protect rather than destroy. In the gallery, her father, James Chen, now retired from military service, watched with pride. Besides him sat Captain Patel, who had carried Sarah from that facility. Both wore civilian clothes now. When humanity revealed its true power, Sarah continued, many expected us to become the new Council, to rule through the same fear they used. Instead, we chose to help build something new, something better. The assembly chamber had been built with pieces from every freed world. Its foundations contained melted-down Council weapons. Its walls included stone from Earth, metal from Mars, crystal from a dozen alien worlds. A place built by many hands, ruling through cooperation instead of fear. Today marks my first day as Earth's representative to the assembly. Sarah smiled. Some question choosing someone so young, someone who still carries scars from the old regime. But I believe that's exactly why I should serve. The delegates listened silently. Among them were members of species who had been experiments in Council facilities, now leaders of their own free worlds. Beings who had helped humanity in secret, now able to stand proudly in the light. I remember everything they did to me. Sarah's voice grew quiet, but everyone could hear. The pain, the fear, the cold voices taking notes. But I also remember what happened after. How humans and aliens worked together to free others like me. How we chose justice over vengeance, healing over hatred. She gestured to the children in the gallery. These young ones will never know the Council's fear. They'll grow up in a galaxy where strength means protecting the weak, where advancement comes through cooperation, not competition, where no one is considered too young or too different to have value. Admiral Martinez, now the Assembly's head of security, watched from her post. Her ships still patrolled space, but now they protected trade routes and responded to distress calls. The weapons that had broken the Council now served to keep the peace. 10 years ago, humanity showed the galaxy that civilization isn't weakness. Sarah's voice grew strong again. Today, all of us show that lesson every day. Not through force, but through choices. The choice to help rather than hurt, to build rather than break, to love rather than fear. She touched her scar one last time. The Council thought they could understand humanity's strength by causing pain. They never realized that our real strength was in how we respond to pain. Not with blind rage, but with calculated justice. Not with destruction, but with protection. The assembly hall erupted in applause. Outside, ships from 100 worlds floated peacefully in orbit. Research facilities had become universities. Military bases had become trade centers. The galaxy had changed. Sarah smiled at her father in the gallery. They had burned the Council's worlds, yes, but only to build something better from the ashes. That was humanity's real strength. Not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to create something new.